Lucknow have made a great start indeed, and if you're wondering why this chair is empty, because our Delhi Capitals fan somehow, he might come in a little bit late, trying to soak up what was actually a very big loss. Lucknow Super Giants have won their first game in IPL 2023 by a margin of 50 runs. And the star of the show was Mark Wood.
Unsurprisingly.
Absolutely.
Bowling with pace at 145 clicks on a consistent basis, 5 wickets for 14. Fantastic effort from Mark Wood, and he was well backed up by Ravi Bishnoi and, if we may say, by Krishnappa Gautam. The spell may not say wickets column is not much,
But very economical.
4-0, 23-0 and
Especially
commiserations. Welcome.
Especially considering the fact that he went for, I think, 15 or 16 runs in his first over.
Yes. So David Warner was the lone star with 56 but of 48 balls. This is the one talking point that will be there.
Star, I would say.
Let's just
star in any way.
Yeah, he
He was
held
the
the
lone
Delhi
challenger, I would say maybe.
Yeah, 56 of 48 balls. And Delhi had actually made a great start, 4 overs for 40. But then there was a burst of 3 wickets from Mark Wood, which totally broke the Delhi Capitals' chase. And it was earlier set up by, if you look at the nature of this wicket, Kyle Mayers' exceptional knock of 73. And the cameos that came towards the end ensured that Delhi Capitals had to play catch up to Lucknow Super Giants' total of 193. We thought it would be a good chase because of the depth in the batting that Delhi had, but it just takes one hostile spell to shred that batting lineup. And Mark Wood, I mean, he is that X factor along with Jofra Archer. I mean, imagine Archer and Wood together. That pace quotient, I mean, every batsman in the world will be.
Also, now with Archer back, you have to remember that in T20s and ODIs, there's a certain Sam Curran also who they have. So that's.
Also for Delhi, I think this was like a damning reminder that okay, this is what Nokia brings to the table. No, of course, they were reminded of it with the ball, but then when they were batting as well, when they had to face express pace, he's such a difference maker, Nokia.
Okay.
And also, what was the one thing which I had said about Delhi? When I said 2 things. A, they need a good start. Didn't get it. Your start theory proved spot on once again. Second was that middle order Marsh aside is a concern. And once Mark Wood got rid of Mitchell Marsh for a golden duck, you knew the pressure was very much on the Capitals.
So, if we go by Gargi's theory, like what has happened in both the games today and even in the previous game, the team that actually started aggressively and well, they have gone on to dictate the terms to the opposite. Look at GT. In their chase of 179 against Chennai Super Kings, who gave them a flying start? Ridhiman Saha.
And then Gill carried it on.
Gill carried it on. In Punjab Kings versus Kolkata Knight Riders,
Prabh Simran, and then later on Bhanukar.
Dhawan was the anchor, but Prabh
Bhanukar
Simran gave a very good start, carried forward
by Bhanukar.
So your good start has to be supplemented by a good number 3.
Absolutely.
And what was the main problem in Kolkata Knight Riders, Chennai Super Kings and Delhi Capitals' loss? Lack of a good start and the number 3.
So basically you want one good innings from the middle order, because if you're looking again at that Delhi Capitals, the scorecard, Riley Russo for one, and again similar problem really, because they don't really have a number 5, a proper number 5. Because
It can be Sarfaraz.
Yeah, but
again in those RCB days as well, that's where he played number 5, 6.
Yeah, ideally you'd play Sarfaraz there, because Mitch Marsh at 3 seems well set. Russo should not be batting anything lower than 4.
Yes.
Should not. So at 5 he was a bit of a waste, because especially considering Sarfaraz batting at 4 was, well, he hit one boundary and that's
Actually,
it.
it was that Riley Russo wicket. All said and done, I think had he stuck around for another 2, let's say another 10 odd balls, could have changed this chase for Delhi, because again he was batting at a good strike rate if you see.
Yeah.
And there was a lucky break for Lucknow, because they were appealing for leg before, I guess, and they managed to.
To be fair, he was out leg before as well.
Yes.
I will come to most of those points a little bit later, but the first major talking point I want to touch upon is David Warner. Okay, you had noticed a trend in IPL 2021 onwards. Warner was getting scores, but look at the fag end, that strike rate. You remember David Warner was not struggling for runs; he was struggling for
But,
strike.
I think today, I don't.
I'll come to that
It's
one
not.
point.
I don't know. Today, to be criticizing him for his strike rate seems a little unfair because again there was just wickets tumbling at the other end. So you needed somebody to just stick around, and he just played that knock. That typical knock way. He just had to be on the wicket, as simple as that, and probably just hope that he can stay there as long as possible and minimize that net run rate. Whatever loss it would have then incurred, then it was just about making sure that the net run rate doesn't get impacted a lot.
Right.
But it got impacted
that's
really
what I was
badly.
thinking, like maybe it was going.
That was the only reason I'm saying for him to stuck around.
Yeah.
There's wickets falling from one hand. Someone has to stay.
Someone has to stay, but then see, in that chase, what happened? 4 overs, you are 40. But with quick wickets falling, that 3-wicket burst, I think what happened in that was Warner had to buckle down. He couldn't be on the attacking mode right from the very beginning after
Couldn't
that.
have, right?
Because
Just couldn't
4
have.
overs for 40, after that, you see the middle overs. Who dried up the runs predominantly? It was the trio of Wood, Gautam. I mean, special mention should be given to Krishnappa Gautam. Yes, 0 for 23. But having conceded over 10 runs in his first over, it was a good comeback. And then you had Ravi Bishnoi. Redemption story even for him. And I'll come to Ravi Bishnoi now. Okay. This IPL, Gargi, I like your views first. It is, you may say it is, you have reached that point of no return for Ravi Bishnoi where he has to perform really, really well because after the Asia Cup, he's not featured for India at all.
Correct.
Now, if he performs well in the IPL with, unfortunately, India's spin stocks, you look at Yajuvendra Chahal, he's down on confidence a bit. Kuldeep Yadav is there, but you don't know with Kuldeep Yadav how the team management is going to take him on. Is it time now for Ravi Bishnoi to stamp his authority and then say, okay, if a consistent performance is there in IPL 2023, I am banging at the doors of the Indian cricket team's selection?
Absolutely, but what comes into consideration is we've got such a big stock of players on the bench and in the domestic as well that who are you going to take out and replace?
I mean, see, we have always had this problem of plenty, but don't you think, does the IPL simplify it or does it complicate matters even further? Because I'll tell you why. Bishnoi rode into the Indian cricket team on the back of a very good IPL that he had
Punjab
with Punjab Kings. After the 2020 Under-19 World Cup, he was immediately taken by Punjab Kings. Now everybody was saying pick Bishnoi, pick Bishnoi, pick Bishnoi. He's worked on variations also. I mean, you look at the deliveries that he bowled, the wickets that he got, especially that of Rahman Powell.
Yeah.
It was a thing that
I think it was the wrong one, right?
Yeah.
It's always the wrong one, but then look at the length.
With
Right.
Bishnoi, the problem with him was that he would essentially only bowl googlies. Now though, he's worked on a traditional stock leg break, which actually has helped him use the googly better as a weapon, because of that Rothman ball, there were two things. One was the line, it was literally on off stump. When you're playing that first up, your first thought is, okay, spinning away from me, I'll go. Second thing, it stayed slightly low, very slightly, not low as in indoor low, but low enough. Low enough that when Robin went for it, nowhere near his bat, it spun back in, plumb as they come.
Yep. And also the length. For the googly, the length has to be somewhat around the good length and the fuller length.
Yeah.
He's hitting that spot on a regular basis now.
Correct.
And you saw in the, see, they were actually planning to either attack him or defend. We didn't know. But Bishnoi did it. And again, it was a redemption story, not just for Ravi Bishnoi, but Shane, I'll come to Avesh Khan.
Correct. Absolutely.
Remember, you will all know it.
Yeah, I think that's where bilaterals come into play. You know, when there's a lot of cricket in the off season with associate nations or our neighbors, that's when you have to bring these players in and test them out.
But Avesh, if you just want to refresh your memory, in the Asia Cup, what happened? He was laid low with fever and then another injury, and that is the reason why he couldn't feature for India. He's not featured for India since the Asia Cup. Now he makes a comeback in the Ranji Trophy, does well. I think he did very well against Hyderabad, Madhya Pradesh versus Hyderabad, or Andhra it was. He broke Hanuma Vihari's wrist. Then he picked up 7 wickets in that and had a decentish Ranji Trophy for Mumbai, for Madhya Pradesh. Now here, 2 for 15. But the major concern, I'll take each one of your opinion on that, and I'll start with Shane first. Death bowling. Is Avesh your certified death bowler? For me, he has not overcome those woes that he had in the West Indies.
I think honestly with Avesh, whenever I've watched him bowl, nothing about him ever screams death bowler. If you have to be a death bowler, there's 2 or 3 things you need to really have down pat. One is you need to be very consistent with your lines and length. 2, you need to have a good yorker. 3, you need maybe a little bit of variation, and when I say variation, it doesn't necessarily mean a slower ball.
It has to be unpredictable.
Yes, with Avesh, you know exactly what you're getting every single time.
Hit the deck.
Hit the deck,
Hit
hard
the deck.
lengths. Hit the
Yeah,
deck, hard
that's-
lengths, rinse, repeat. That's not to say it's not effective. It's not going to work in the death.
What about you, Gargi?
I think the death overs are so. Everyone talks about it from a bowler's perspective. I'd like to, add a little perspective from
Exactly.
the batter's side. Is what they're thinking is these are the last few overs. I need to get as many runs as possible. And when you're choosing a bowler, you need to have someone that's going to break that, mental preparation of that batter. You need to be unpredictable. You need to be quick. You need to be thinking 2 steps ahead of the batter.
Exactly. So is Avesh doing that?
I don't believe. Not at the moment right now. Maybe he can get better at it.
Harshad, what about you?
I think I'd like to see more of him. Firstly, I won't get carried away by those 3-4 overs that he's bowled today, because I do have my concerns with him, because the time that he was absolutely leaking runs, it was alarming, and you needed a change.
At international
At
level,
international level, that was costing India a lot, to be honest, and that meant that it put the pressure on the batters then. So again, long tournament, I'd like to see more of him, and I'm not sure with just this one performance also, a day when Delhi really didn't get going with the bat. So I don't think he was tested enough today. And in this ground though, it'll be very interesting, because he's going to be playing 6 more matches here, where the boundaries are fairly big. So, and given the fact that he doesn't have that slower one, he's hit the deck hard. Today looked like batting conditions. So against any other batting lineup which does turn up, unlike Delhi today, I think he'll be tested much more because again, I'm not too sure. Again, he spent a lot of time away from the T20 format also.
The international scene, in fact.
Exactly.
As a whole.
So, and that was a very, very bad time for him. Those couple of months where he was just absolutely dreadful.
I think pretty much every ball he was bowling, you're fearing he's going to get hit.
So I'd like to see more of him. I'm not convinced yet, I would say.
Yeah, good comeback for sure. Good match. Definitely good performance. Let's take nothing away from him. But let's see 5-6 games in before we jump to any conclusions. That being said, Avesh is not a death bowler.
Well, that debate on Avesh, it's not kind of silence the critics or the praisers who backed Avesh Khan. But from Avesh Khan, if we are one thing very, very sure about, it is Mark Wood might be your X factor in IPL 2023
Absolutely.
for 2 simple reasons. Number 1, sustained pace can really torment you on these Indian wickets.
I don't care how good a batsman you are. Okay, if you're consistently being faced with balls at a very hard length, and then knowing that Mark Wood can slip in a yorker, and it's playing on your head. 145 K's yorker means you are kissing your wicket goodbye.
And first ever 5-wicket haul for Lucknow in the history of IPL. That's Mark Wood. But more about
Also,
Mark
if I'm
Wood.
not wrong, I don't think he conceded a single boundary.
He did.
He did.
In the last over.
Oh yeah. Sakaria.
Chetan Sakaria.
Yeah,
Yes.
Sakaria hit him for a
After 2 overs, he had figures of 3 for 3. And for me, Mark Wood was the main reason that you may say he tapered over most of the cracks that are there in the Lucknow lineup. Because see,
Absolutely.
you look at Jaydev Unadkat and you look at Kyle Mayers, that 5th bowling quota, conceded 46 runs.
And mind you, Mayers only gave away 7 runs of this.
7 runs. Marcus Stoinis was not used at all today. So you look at Bishnoi. Bishnoi also went for runs. Avesh went for 2 for 29. Bishnoi went for 30, close to.
Yeah, he went for 32, but 2 wickets, 32, I'll take that.
Yes.
With your attacking leg spinner, I will take that 10 times out of 10.
Now the scary part here is if Wood can maintain his fitness, which has always been suspect, because Wood, because of the way how he bowls, because of the workload that he has, he's prone to injuries. He's had 4 ankle surgeries, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at the horizon.
Yeah,
7
ODI
months
World Cup
later,
coming.
World Cup, October, November, fresh conditions. Because remember, March, April are different conditions. October and November are different conditions. Archer and Wood, excess pace on this wickets.
Then Sam Curran.
Sam Curran.
And then, no, Ben Stokes you won't have. You'll have Chris Wokes.
This is a rehearsal that, if you want to see the IPL, is it a rehearsal for something big? If the Indian team management has to look at it, please follow Mark Wood, because his excess space is going to be the X factor, and we already got a glimpse of it today. Do you agree with this assessment that for IPL, if you have to look at it, the team that benefits the most, even if they don't play that many games, it'll actually be the England cricket team, because
Number of players.
Archer, Wood, not for the batting,
Sam
it's
Curran.
for the bowling.
Sam Curran.
Exactly, Sam Curran, these three. I'll start with Harshit. Do you think if the England players have a very, very good IPL, are we going to see more of that when the World Cup comes in October, November? Because we know that there are actually only three contenders. India, Australia and England for that World Cup title.
Yeah, you might have a New Zealand, South Africa type bring a bit of a surprise, but the top three favorites are definitely the ones you mentioned.
And England in particular, they are the white ball kings at this point in time. Going past them and looking at the way how they play the template, and if they have a very good IPL, man oh man, I mean, do not put it beyond England for them to produce a similar thing in October, November. What do you think, Harshit?
Correct.
Well, I see things change between, there's going to be a couple of months between the IPL and the World Cup, and things change, players lose their touch, or they regain their touch, but I won't get too carried away with what I see during the IPL, because it's the same players who, let's say, let's go and talk about, the fact that just you bring in players from the BBL, they perform in some part of the world. When it comes to performing in India, they don't always fire. So, and yes, let's say Harry Brook is having the time of his life right now. So can be said, let's say, about Bairstow, who's actually Butler. Again, had a very good year last year and whatnot, but to say that will necessarily translate into great form 2 months down the line after the IPL gets over, I'm not quite convinced by that idea. But what it does sort of say is, when you look at how well England players perform, it does add to your confidence for sure.
Because why, I'll tell you. You remember October 2022 was the T20 World Cup. The IPL, who was your leading run getter?
Just the boss Butler.
That confidence, as I agree, the confidence will translate into the bigger stages. And remember, more exposure you get in India. Remember, a very, very strange twist of fate. India's players are not going to play that much in their own conditions as compared to the overseas players in IPL. Because you're only going to play 3 more.
And just one thing I'd pray for, let's say, the one thing, of course, that's not to say that England won't be challengers. Yes, they are the top 3 teams, and that doesn't change with regards to the time left for the World Cup or the IPL coming in between. But having said that, one thing I'd hope for or pray for is, let's say it's a different format altogether. You're not talking about T20 cricket, you're talking about ODI cricket. And we've seen, let's say, with the number 1 ranked T20I batter not being able to replicate that in ODI format. So let's say, with so many of these T20 specialists on display here in India, the Englishman, I'd hope something goes wrong as far as the change of format is concerned. Can Harry Brook be another player that is not identifiable? Let's say with Surya Kumar. You don't identify with the Surya Kumar Yadav with the ODI scores that he has. Not crossed the 36 mark in the last 12 odd innings.
The difference and the problem is that England don't treat ODIs as ODIs and T20s as T20s. They have one template for white ball cricket, and now with Brendan McCullum being their test coach, they have the same template for test cricket. So they are essentially playing the exact same way. In fact, recently I was reading this, and it's a slight deviation from the match at hand, but it was an interesting thought for me, was that, you've pretty much given up on Jos Buttler, the test cricketer, but no, not just that. Would he be a success in test matches in the baseball era?
Right.
He could be. He's the kind of player who fits that bill,
perfectly, to the T.
Exactly. So the thing is, they have the same way of playing. I don't see anything different with how they approach white ball cricket, in regardless of whether it's 50 overs or T20s. So if they are getting confidence now and they stay fit, England really are going to be the team to beat.
Because I will tell you why. Now all the England players, whoever might be selected for June, they are not going to play all the games. Wood in particular might not play all the games. Stokes is not playing because they have an even bigger priority, and that is the Ashes.
And don't forget, Stokes doesn't play ODI cricket anymore.
cricket.
So
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter.
Man, I mean, imagine if they will want to reconsider that decision just for a World Cup year.
I doubt he would now because his knee keeps giving way. So I don't think he would. And truth be told, the way he retired on a high, man. You're winning your country the World Cup and then like,
Exactly. So, Gargi, what about you? I mean,
Well, I believe these English players are going to assess the conditions very well, and since there's a World Cup in India, if I'm not wrong.
yeah.
Okay, so they're going to assess the conditions very well, and they're going to look at all the batters and all the Indian players. And they're going to get the little works out of them. I believe that will be the difference. Also, never mind. You continue.
okay. So, sticking with this match, okay, the next point I wanted to make was this was a battle of two middle orders that are very shaky.
Yeah.
Lucknow Super Giants also had a very shaky middle order. But Delhi Capitals by this game, even they have a very, very shaky middle order. I mean,
I'll say the most obvious thing when it comes to this middle order. They really miss Rishabh Pant.
yes.
I think that's an accepted thing. I think one should let's say, and it's not about supporting Delhi or anything like that. You have to move away from that thought now.
You can't.
There is just no point bringing that up because you have to look ahead. That's something done. So you don't have that option now. So whatever you have, the good thing though is with this Delhi core that you see or the Delhi middle order, it continues to be this. This is a unit that has operated together in the past, along with let's say Ricky Ponting and the return of Saurav Ganguly. So I won't be too bogged down, let's say, if I were Delhi Capitals right now, because I know I have my core figured out. Yes, it's not a good game. It's nothing went as per plan. But again, I know my strengths and I have belief in them because Pal gives me belief. He's won me matches in the past. Rishabh Pant, of course, is always going to be missed. But again, that doesn't mean that Delhi still don't have the players to make the cut, let's say.
They do.
Because they have that core. And of course, once you bring in a Nokia, that changes things altogether. You will probably not be seeing Delhi concede so many runs so often in the tournament because those 4 overs guarantee you lesser runs and wickets. Wickets.
What about you, Gargi? I mean, which middle order, if you look at Delhi versus Lucknow, you saw a glimpse, it needed something spectacular from Kyle Mayers to ensure that Lucknow's almost non-existent middle order could at least survive this match. But Delhi, Warner 50 had a reverse effect on them.
Right.
Do you think Delhi's middle order going further into the IPL is going to be a big Achilles heel for them?
It could be because if you look at LSG's scorecard, you would clearly see that every batter is contributing something. Even if it's 20-30 runs, it does matter in the end when it gets you across the line.
Yes.
On the other hand, we've got in the DC team, we've got 4-5 batters who got out cheaply, even in the end, in the middle over especially, and like we said, there wasn't a good start.
Exactly. And Shane, summing it up, I mean, is this IPL 2023 so far, if you look at it, your middle orders, barring the Punjab match, the Punjab game, only the Punjab Kings middle order looked good. But if you look at the other games, the middle order is actually shaky. CSK, GT also, they played bad shots and got them into that pressure situation.
Same thing with KKR.
And Hardik admitted it yesterday.
Yeah. Do you think now, all the teams, when you look at the auction strategy, when you look at every other thing, do you think all the teams have made themselves very top heavy and they have forgotten about
I
the
won't
middle?
say that for one team.
RR. I wouldn't say top heavy, but again, and I will go back to that England example again, is that England in both their successful white ball triumphs, whether that be 2019 or 2022, they did have 2 anchors in both of those teams. Go back to 2019, you were starting with your openers used to be Bairstow and Roy.
Yeah.
After that, you had Joe Root and you had an Owen Morgan who could consolidate. After that, then your power hitters came. Joss Butler, Ben Stokes, Moeen would come on this. He was batting. Wokes used to be coming in at number 8 and he can tonk more than a few. So this time around too, you had Ben Stokes in the order. And T20s, he's very much an accumulator.
Yep.
Yeah. And you had David Malan.
Yes.
Then after that, you had the Currans, the Moeens who would be coming in. So I think you do need one player like that who you can, the batting can kind of revolve around, let's say, and you haven't seen that so far. It's like what I was mentioning earlier for the KKR game. I said I want to see Nitish play that role.
Yeah.
Instead, he went bang bang again. Why? As I pointed out also, the longer he bats, the better his strike rate gets.
Yep.
So take your time, build the innings. Same here today, you didn't really have anyone build the innings for Lucknow. Yes, there were contributions here or there. Puran had a nice cameo, Badoni had a nice cameo, but everything really depended on that Mayer's 73.
True.
Yeah.
Because why I say it's top heavy? Because Gargi's theory seems to be proving right with every match. Because she said good start, and what happened in both the games today?
Whoever got the good
starts won you the match. KKR didn't have it, Delhi didn't have it.
Correct.
And that is why they lost.
In fact, I would argue even in the opening game, GT had a much better start than Chennai.
Yes.
Chennai, yes, you had Gaikwad hitting, but at one point he was losing partners. They were dropping like 9 pins.
Conway went cheaply. Then
Raidu went cheaply.
Moin
also, I think, didn't have that much of an impact. Stokes was out early. So that's half the batting.
Jadeja was out early.
Yeah.
That's why I believe in this day and age of cricket, you need a team that can bat to the last. Like, you need
You need depth.
You need depth. You need a player.
CSK had
very
10
ironical,
people batting.
CSK had 11.
But then that was where the problem came with Dubey, no? Dubey was batting
14
very
odd balls,
slow.
yeah.
He was batting slow.
True.
And I kept thinking, I'm like, you have batting till number 11.
Match turners.
Yeah, you have Hunger Greker is your number 11, who's actually an all-rounder. It's the same with England. Why people say, why are they going bang bang? I'm like, because brother, their number 11 is Adil Rashid, who was actually an all-rounder.
Yes.
He's not a number 11, he's an all-rounder.
Yeah. So, if you look at it, today's two games. Let me just recollect before we read the comments and take some of family members' thing.
Yeah.
Kolkata Knight Riders versus Punjab Kings in Mohali. Two very, very talking points in that. One was the power failure that ensured the match went way past regulation time. But in that regulation time, you had the rain.
Exactly.
But Kolkata have only themselves to blame because they lost far too many wickets at the very beginning.
Exactly. Same problem opening.
So Punjab Kings won by 7 runs in Mohali, but thanks to the DLS method. Here, you look at what happened in Ekana on a green pitch. Lucknow managed to make 193 with Kyle Mayers. I mean, playing a superb 73, although Mark Wood got the man of the match award fittingly for his 5 for 14.
Yeah.
David Warner's 56 and Riley Russo's 30 were the only lone bright spots in that Delhi batting lineup.
Absolutely.
To lose by 50 runs. Already your net run rate is -2.
And
2.4.
Lucknow are 2.5, the top
Exactly.
of the
So today's games has shown, and what Gargi summed it up in the first match itself, you need a very good start. That is about it, and that is why now tomorrow it is going to be very, very interesting, because maybe this is the trend up in the north. Tomorrow and Monday, all the games are held in the south, which with slower pitch conditions.
Right.
Sunrisers Hyderabad versus Rajasthan Royals in Hyderabad. You're going to play there after 5 years. Then you've got the big one. Mumbai Indians versus Royal Challengers Bangalore. And it gets even better at the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium.
But Chinnaswamy, remembers, always been a batter's paradise.
Absolutely.
Yes, except for 1-2 years.
But in recent years, it's generally been a batter's
Always.
paradise.
I mean, they had to unfortunately change that outfield because for the subsurface aeration drainage system.
Right.
Yeah. Because there is a threat of rain, but boss, if the rain, even if it lashes down for 3-4 days in Bangalore, whole of Bangalore may be flooded, but the Chinnaswamy will never be flooded because they have a brilliant aeration system. And Monday, you're going to see Chennai Super Kings in action at Chepauk.
Also, we were talking about opening. I mean, if you're looking at that game, MI versus RCB, both teams have an interesting opening lineup because if you're going RCB, you'd say Virat and
Faf. Yeah.
That's a much stronger looking batting lineup right now on paper, opening, than what MI have, because you'd be opening with Ishan
And Rohit.
Isn't
Rohit's
that
form is
always the case with RCB? It's always powerful on paper.
it's always top heavy.
That's true.
And this time though, honestly, I'm worried about RCB's middle order.
And no, the main reason why Mumbai finished at the bottom, apart from Rohit's lack of form,
Was
the
Ishan.
middle order. The middle order.
And remember, Ishan was also in terrible form last year.
Yeah, 15.25 crores.
Just managed 150, I think, last year or
Yeah,
something.
he was in
Yeah.
bad form.
So, I'll just switch now to what KL Rahul, the Lucknow captain, said, and I'll come to David Warner later. Was a great start, we were clueless of the pitch.
Yeah, he did mention even in the pre-match that we have no idea how this pitch is going to play. No played
Teams
it.
hadn't played here.
Yep. With the new rules, where did it go? You
Nature.
get to play with the team you want. Gives great depth in bowling and batting. I thought we were 30 runs above par. So Rahul felt that 160, I mean, you look at 143. Even if they had made 170, they had already gotten over par in that sense. The way Kyle batted, we took an aggressive approach against the spinners and put them under pressure. You look at the way how Kyle Mayers opened up the middle overs. He was hitting sixes at will. Akshar Patel was hit for 2 sixes in one
In fact,
over.
Kuldeep was targeted mercilessly.
Yeah.
So he's right. Actually, they took on the spinners, and that's another key difference we haven't harped on. Is that for LSG, the spinners were very economical. Even Bishnoi was going at I think 31 in his 4, but he got you 2 wickets.
2 wickets. And okay, I haven't touched upon this, but after this point, okay, we've seen Kuldeep Yadav's confidence get wilted after an assault. And it's happened again today. But now, has he learned the lessons? I'll start with Gargi. Has he learned that lesson? Because even Shane and we were pointing out in that just before the match, Kuldeep's confidence was shot when Virat Kohli and Moeen Ali took him to the cleaners. RCB versus KKR. Do you think now is he in a good mental space so that he doesn't get his confidence doesn't take a shellacking, or do you think Kuldeep has been hit again? Is he going to struggle? What do you think?
I think, well, when we're taught cricket, we're taught that cricket is 90% mental game. The other rest, 10% is skills. So I think Kuldeep needs to be in a very positive headspace right now, because T20 is a game where spinners get hit for big sixes out of the park.
Yep.
So you just have to go along.
Exactly. Well, Roy SP.
I think also I just want to make a point about Kuldeep. I think he had a good season with Delhi last year. That's one.
Very, yeah.
2 is the fact that he is now in the reckoning as far as the national side also goes. He is now pegged ahead of Yuzi Chahal. He's in fact replaced him as India's top spinner now as far as the playing 11 are concerned. So I think both those things put together do give him a lot of confidence. So I think this one game again, he wasn't the only bowler, remember, who was targeted. The whole Delhi bowling unit failed. You talk about Sakaria for that matter, somebody who's been wanting an India cap desperately. But then with so much going Kuldeep's way, I think by now, the fact that he's been in the circles for so long and these 2 things, as I mentioned, going his way in recent times, I think he should be able to hold this together, and maybe he shouldn't wilt.
Yeah. Roy SV is like after me. I mean, he's also criticized my comparison that England, the template won't work, it won't work. Fine, okay, taken with a pinch of salt, Roy SV. Excited for tomorrow and Monday. Yes, because you're going to see all the 3 games down south.
Yeah.
As I have different priorities, CSK losing again on Monday, although I'm not so sure. Chepauk, different beast altogether. And tomorrow RCB was oh yes, that is the clash.
That's the
And that too at the M Chinnaswamy Stadium. Can't get any better than that. Because you have to be at the Chinnaswamy to experience that atmosphere. It is wild. And especially RCB fanatics. I mean, Gargi, you will know, RCB fan, the fandom that they have, despite all these losses, it's next level altogether. That's why. Now, GGK is asking me, will Warner be rested at half stage, considering if he continues like this? Marsh, Russo, Notia, Powell is a better choice. Marsh can open and captain.
No, I don't think they'll do that.
They won't.
Also, why would you rest Warner at the half stage when it's pretty unlikely that he's going to be playing the Ashes anyway?
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. Not a chance.
Maybe the World Test Championship final.
Not that either.
So you think Warner's Test career is done?
Yeah, I think so.
Perhaps.
Okay, that's a big call. But I think
No, I said it after the Border Gavaskar.
Yes.
yeah, but I mean there was factually, yes, you could argue that Warner, it'll be difficult for him in tests because against India, he has been woeful. And second, your mental strength will anyway get shot down if you are again getting out to Broad and Anderson, who really Broad 14 times. Anderson also close to 8-9 times he's got him out. So on those England conditions in early June, oh boy.
I think we saw it all in the Border Gavaskar. I don't think he's playing the Ashes.
Yeah. So that is the thing. I don't think Warner will be rested. If the test team is announced during the IPL and Warner's not there, then I think he'll play the full IPL. But if he is included in that World Test Championship match and Ashes, if he is included, then I think you will rest him. You will rest him.
Yeah, then I think they'll have no choice, because then I think CA will have a conversation with him and say, "Okay,
Exactly.
let it go for now. You have to try and get whatever little is left out of your test career."
Yep. Akshay Khiste is like saying, I see the trend. Once ball gets older, it is very difficult to hit, especially towards the end. Okay, I do get your point for the first part, but especially towards the end. But today, if you look at it, with the older ball, LSG scored 95 runs in 9 overs.
Correct.
Which is much better than their 11 overs, which was 98. So maybe Akshay Khiste, maybe that last point, especially towards the end, I may kind of want to disagree on that, but it can change from stadium to stadium, pitch to pitch, condition to condition. I think we'll have to take a sample size maybe mid IPL. What is it? I mean, is it very difficult in that sense? Remember, actually peak summer has still not yet set in. Down when you go south tomorrow and day after,
You'll see
the heat, you'll see the pitch becoming much slower,
Yes.
and you will find it very difficult to probably, except Bangalore. Maybe Hyderabad and Chennai, you're going to see some sluggishness. That is
Also, a
why.
few interesting comments about lack of crowd really at the Ekana. Yeah, it's admittedly, I would say, I understand that. I don't think there's been much IPL cricket ever happening in Lucknow, but I think that would be all the more reason you'd want to go and see the match.
Also, maybe it's still a new franchise. The crowds are going to take a while to, really feel that connect with the franchise. But again, it's a well-populated city. Let's be honest about Lucknow. So, and as the game progresses, as the tournament progresses, you do expect crowds to turn.
And perhaps all the rain which lashed Lucknow 1-2 days, maybe that also had a very small effect in saying, oh, maybe we might not be able to see a full match. Maybe that might have also happened.
It could also be that maybe it's an overdose of cricket, like you say.
See, when you saw the last international that was there at Ekana, it was the India-New Zealand T20I.
I mean, yeah, true.
That was packed. But the cricket that was on display there, it became a slow burning thriller, but the action was all bad. I mean, I'm really, really sorry about it. It was a very poor deck in that sense, so that is why. Then
Pick me says.
why can't he put his real name here?
No, he's saying last year you said Gujarat's the weakest team and they won. This time you've said MI is the weakest team. I don't think any of us last year said Gujarat was the weakest. I don't think we never really picked them as a playoff team, So in that sense, I do disagree with that, and I still stand by what I say with MI being the weakest team. Dear God, the Indian bowling is a real concern. RD, we've done a Man City versus Liverpool review. It's on the channel already. Please go ahead and check it out.
Yep. So
I think
first double header done. Tomorrow we'll have one more, and you have 18, right?
18. So 1 down, 17 to go.
Yeah.
Oh
boy.
Man. It's going to be a long IPL, but it's just getting started.
Yeah, it's just started.
So tomorrow, yet another blockbuster. We have the first game, Sunrisers Hyderabad versus Rajasthan Royals at the Rajiv Gandhi Stadium in Uppal, followed by Mumbai Indians versus Royal Challengers Bangalore at the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium. Packed house. That is the match which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, because the crowd is going to be really electric.
And remember, RCB have actually held a lot of promise against Mumbai Indians. I think they've not lost to them since 2020. Ever since that super over, which AB de Villiers negotiated against Jasprit Bumrah, I think RCB have won every single time, and Harshal Patel got a 5-wicket haul and a hat-trick against Mumbai Indians in 2021. And in 2022, it happened. So RCB heading into this are favourites against Mumbai Indians because of the recent good form that they have had against them. So that is about it for tomorrow. We'll be back at 2:45 for all the updates that's there. Harshit, it's been commiserations for your terrible loss. Shane, commiserations for your terrible loss today. I won't say it was heartbreaking.
No.
The thing is, we just had to give you company.
Let's be clear. Commiserations for my terrible losses. Chelsea also went and lost, as I said.
Yes.
Oh, they've lost.
I just
they
confirmed,
lost.
yeah.
How much? 1-0?
2-0.
Oh man.
2-0.
And so they have slid down to 10th again.
It doesn't matter. They're not qualifying for anything in Europe anyway. So anyway,
Oh
let's see.
man. Yes. So that is why 3 of us have already tasted big defeats.
Gargi shall only give us company tomorrow, maybe.
Also,
I think she may be.
no. You know why? Because so far, all 3 of the matches, if you're going by trends, have been won by home teams. So RCB really are favourites tomorrow.
Exactly. So maybe Gargi can buck that trend. But Gargi, Mumbai or RCB? I'll give you one final choice.
Okay, I'd like to say whoever does well.
Nah. That's not. No.
That's no answer. That's a non-answer. Anyway.
Oh boy. Oh, even Dortmund going down.
Yeah.
Oh, so that means Bayern will get the lead. They have only 1 point difference, right?
1 point deficit. Yes.
Oh man. So yes, lot of football action. We'll be back tomorrow.
There's a race also tomorrow, 10:30.
Yes, and tomorrow PV Sindhu is also in action in the Madrid Open because she may face Carolina Marin. I'll get a confirmation on that. And it's going to be a thrilling match indeed. So lot of cricket action, and also don't forget South Africa's last ODI.
Oh yeah.
If they win that, they are 99% assured of a place as the 8th and final team for automatic qualification.
Otherwise, they go to Zimbabwe. I think that's where the qualifiers are.
Where Sri Lanka are already going. That detour for India, they'll have to go via Zimbabwe. Same is the case with the West Indies also. But if South Africa lose tomorrow, oh boy, then the West Indies might be the 8th team. Or Ireland. So let's see. So thank you so much, folks. It's been a long and oh boy, action-packed day.
Action-packed fun day for sure.
Exactly. Thank you, KKR and PBKS. Thank you for the floodlight failure. Thank you for everything, for extending it so much. 4 hours. Thank you very much for that. I hope it doesn't repeat tomorrow as well. So from me, Harshit, Shane and Gargi, it is good night. We will see you in the next 14 hours.
Yeah.
It's already April 2.
Yeah.
Much earlier, yaar, one of us will be doing the morning rap also.
Of course, yeah. That will be me and as guilty as charged, and Shane will be giving you an update of the Australian Grand Prix. After 3 years, it's coming to Melbourne.
No, it happened last year.
Okay, but didn't they shut out because of COVID?
2022, Charles Leclerc won it.
Leclerc. Yep. So that'll be a very good race to watch out for. Lewis Hamilton, can he break that jinx?
Possible. He's starting P3 tomorrow, Russell P2. But
Yeah.
again, I think a certain Fernando Alonso will be a threat.
Is it the longest ever that he's gone without a race win in his career, Lewis Hamilton?
Yes, because he's never gone a season without a race win prior to 2022.
Yeah, that happened yesterday. And yes, tomorrow, do not forget, there's a very special documentary that's coming up because it's April 2 and
11 years.
12 years
12
later.
12 years.
Yeah.
12 years ago, India had achieved its greatest moment ever. And we'll be reliving all that tomorrow. So thank you so much, folks. Do see that documentary, and from all of us, it's bye-bye.